Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Living on Lemonade podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lauren. Today is a two podcast recording day for me. I recorded episode 61 this morning, and that's about my self-image or body image journey. And I decided to expand on it a little bit. It's still kind of related. There were a couple things that I meant to talk about in the last episode, and I think it ended up being like 38 minutes. So I'm glad I kind of cut it off. But I thought, hey, I will just record a quick episode this evening. I'm heading to the boat shortly. I just got packed, but I thought I want to get this recorded while it's kind of fresh on my brain, and I feel like recording. Today, what did I do today? I did move my body. I went for a walk around town for about an hour and then just kind of stretched gently on my yoga mat when I got back. My hips were feeling kind of tight, and got some groceries and did a few kind of things around the house. I even had a nap. I've been just a little bit lower energy or just needing a bit of a nap in the afternoon. I know one thing I'm tracking a bit more is my cycle, so I understand where my hormones are at, and I'm at a part where just a little bit less energy. So when I get that feeling of like, oh, I really need like a half-hour nap, I'll do it because it helps me get through the rest of the day and I don't feel groggy. So to carry over from last week, if you haven't listened to it yet, go back. What I wanted to share with you was I pulled an oracle card before I started. If you're on the YouTube channel, you can see it here. It's a Stagnant Waters. It is part of the Healing Waters Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. I love her work. And what I do is I set an intention and I ask, I ground and kind of do my spiritual thing. And then I ask, what piece of wisdom do I need for today? And then I start shuffling, and either the card flips over in the deck or it falls out. This Stagnant Waters card fell out of the deck. And I found it really interesting because it totally was on point with the first episode that I recorded. Now, what it says on the card is feeling stuck, a call for shifts, flow, and change. And I'll read you the card message. Perhaps it's the movement of water that contains the intelligent flow of energy that makes life possible, the life force that animates all living things. When water stops flowing, it can become stagnant. This lack of flow can cause a buildup and lead to pollution. Perhaps we're like that too. Perhaps we need flow just as much as the waters of the world. This card brings with it a call for flow, movement, and change. How can you begin to flow a little more with life's changes? Where in life do you feel stuck? What has become stagnant or lacking of vitality, ease, and flow? How are you being called to re-inject more movement into your life? Sometimes when we go through life, our energy can become stuck, physically, emotionally, spiritually, romantically, and yet life is always there to support our return to flow, to movement. This is a wonderful card to receive as it comes with a magnificent opportunity for shifting energy and embracing change and new possibilities. Perhaps you've become complacent or just feel stuck. Maybe you've been avoiding something deep down, and this is causing the waters within you to stagnate. Perhaps the intelligence of the water is inviting you to call upon the intelligence within you to find the courage to embrace a new way of life, of flowing with life. And then there's these soul inquiries or something you can kind of journal or ponder. What feels stuck or stagnant in your life, and what shifts are you being called to make? I thought that was really relevant, just talking about my journey and what it was like after losing my dad, and just totally having that stagnant energy in my body by not moving it at all, and seeing how it served me in the moment. But now that I've done a lot of the healing and detaching from outcomes and things that I've navigated over the last couple years, I'm starting to feel like I'm ready to get moving and move that energy and release that extra weight that my body is holding, because it's like it is kind of like stagnant energy that is now sitting on my body in a sense. One of the other things, I'm glad I remembered it just before I hit record, because I had this imagery come to me when I was thinking about this whole journey. Now, this was, I don't know, a few days ago or whatever, but an interesting kind of, I guess, metaphor to help me to further understand and maybe explain the the idea around how some of these coping mechanisms serve us in the time period we need them for, but then it becomes obvious once we move out of that chapter and we're starting to build a new one intentionally, that the behaviors no longer serve us. And the imagery that came to me in my mind was how hopefully this makes sense to more than just me. How in the wintertime we put on a winter coat to keep us safe from the elements. And then when spring comes and it warms up, we then stop wearing the winter coat. However, when we think of it in this way, it sounds kind of silly, right? If we were to keep wearing the winter coat because we feel that it's still keeping us safe from something, even though it's getting hotter, it's wildly uncomfortable, we're sweating underneath it and stuff like that. Um, it gave me a sense of it served its purpose in the moment, but now that I'm in like moving into spring and summer and feeling better in life, I need to shed the winter coat. It no longer it no longer serves the same purpose, right? So it would be silly to keep wearing it. So now it's time to move my body and to focus on my body. Another thought around that, which I got from my coach Marley, because she talks about this in her kind of mindset around moving her body. She's a spiritual and business coach. And I really loved it, and I've heard her talk about it many, many times, but it just kinda clicked over the last few months, and it's interesting how we can hear the same thing over and over and over, and sometimes it takes one particular person to say it in a certain way, or if you're listening to the same person say the same thing, waiting for it clicks when you're ready to receive it in the full capacity of the full impact. Now she talks about how she uses movement to essentially like keep in this is how I kind of see it. Keeping kind of relationship with her body, keeping it powerful, keeping it strong, as well as doing the spiritual practices to keep in relationship with her soul, with her spirit, and then the practices for her mind. So we're looking at mind, body, soul connection because in order to keep our cup full, especially if we want to be in service of others. For one, we need to practice what we preach. But two, we are the most potent when we're in communication and relationship with those three things kind of simultaneously, right? We're doing one thing, at least one thing per day to nourish our mind, to nourish our body, to nourish our soul. So when we look at it from a stance of moving my body, challenging my body, strengthening my body because it is, it's muscles just like we do the spiritual practices to build those intuitive muscles. We do the like breath work, whatever you need to also foster your mental health, which a lot of the time doing kind of somatic work for me, like body work is how I foster stronger like health, like a healthier mind, whatever that looks like for you. But being very intentional and looking at it from a lens of, I need to show up for my mind, for my body, for my soul, so that I can keep my cup full and overflowing and have greater capacity to serve others, not only just showing up online, creating free content, creating paid programs, but one day I would like to do maybe some private mentorship where we do one-on-one sessions and just kind of check in and I can be an accountability buddy and stuff like that. So I realized the importance of not only showing up for my mental health, not only showing up in my spiritual practices that I started with my 10-minute morning meditation and then pulling an oracle card, with the intention of getting some wisdom for the day. But the body part is also so important. And through the journey, I realized that I had abandoned my body. So through losing my dad, I think I've talked about this, but through losing my dad, I was very heavily focusing on like, how do I keep my mind like from going, kind of crazy, and showing up for my soul as well, and trying to build spiritual practices or do that here and there when I wasn't in just full kind of survival. But I left my body out of the equation. So this has been a lesson to me that the body can't go by the wayside, and 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 be focusing on mind and soul. The body has to be part of that equation, just to not only be thriving, but just regular maintenance, right? When we think of like a car, you can't focus on a couple things and let the other things go, because they're going to have detrimental effects if you neglect them. So those were kind of my big thoughts around that. Let me see here. I think I pretty much covered it. Maybe this will just be a short episode. Just a little mindset around body stuff. And if you are an entrepreneur, how are you showing up for your mind, for your body, for your soul? Do one thing every day to foster and nourish each of those things. It doesn't have to be a big practice. It could be like a 10-minute walk around the block. Um, you could do some gardening. I don't know. There's just something we have to do. Pick something. Could be 5 minutes for each, 5 minutes for mind, 5 minutes for body, 5 minutes for soul. And then on the days that you have more time, more space, be intentional about using your time. And then the days that it's a little bit harder to fit in, build that tool belt of practices so that no matter what's happening, you can kind of build it in. Now, that is something I am also working on, especially with the body. So I'm not going to say that I'm perfect at it, and I can preach it from somewhere that it's really, it's just, I've sustained it for a long time, but I can tell you that this is the journey that I'm on. And yeah, sometimes it's just a quick thing. I originally wanted to do a hit practice today, and I thought, no, my body just felt like it needed something a little bit lower impact. So I thought I'll go for a walk. And on that journey, I realized I hadn't been for a walk in a while, like at least not in the daytime. I usually go for my walks in the evenings. So, and I was taking a different walking route. I realized today, oh my gosh, the lilacs are almost out of season. They're my favorite flower, and I haven't done a lilac tour. So I took I shifted my route today. I didn't do like my biggest long one because there are still things I want to accomplish. However, I I took part of my big walking route and went by some of the spots that I know there's lilacs. Some of them were already kind of done, but I found a couple new bushes, which was fun. So I stopped and literally smelled the flowers and just like breathed in that lilac smell and just had some very mindful moments. And really, those are things that foster not only my body as I'm moving throughout the town, but it's like my mind and my soul get nourished by just taking those moments of quiet, smelling the flowers, just breathing in that scent. I love lilacs, and totally filling my cup along the way. So I highly encourage finding those, building those tools in your tool belt. I am packaging up the Build Your Soul Care Tool Belt course that I ran live. I will be molding it into a self-study and figuring some stuff out. So stay tuned for that. That is a course that is about all of this stuff. It's about meeting your soul. You'll meet your soul and start to understand what that soul space feels like in terms of like healing and just feeling that safety inside of yourself that you can always come back to when things are off kilter, and starting to create some awareness around things that will help you to then pick those practices or revisit past hobbies, like things. It's a journey of curiosity. And the course was really interesting that I didn't expect it to go the way that it did. It got really, really deep, very profound, very healing, very nourishing. And it allowed the women inside the container to really have a self-exploration, but in a loving, supportive way. And now they're on a beautiful journey that they didn't anticipate. So I'm excited to package it in a way that people can do it through self-study. I might run it again live. I'm kind of working on the details, so I don't have a lot of answers right now, but just know that I'm working on that. So if that's something you're interested, stay tuned. Stay tuned. And yeah, I'm going to get that worked out because it's going to be a very beneficial, it is a very, very, very profound course. And I cannot wait to get it out into the world so that more people can feel and journey with its impact. All right, I'm going to keep this short. I don't think there's any updates. I don't have the dates ready, but stay tuned. If you're in the Living on Lemonade group or you're not, but you want to see what's up, the things that I'm offering, most of it's free right now. I just have the 5-week mindfulness meditation course that I'm going to be talking more about. That's another foundational course. I would actually start there. If you're kind of new on the journey, I would start with the mindfulness meditation course. It's called Create Your Calm. And we talk a lot about nervous system, burnout, mindfulness, meditation, and resilience. I think those are the 5 topics. So it is a self-pace now, and it's something you can go through on your own time and just kind of absorb, revisit. It's lifetime access. If it's something that interests you, send me a message. I'm also getting it organized. And yeah, for now, stay tuned. There's lots of free stuff going on. We always have the free monthly class that becomes a podcast episode. We have 1 or 2 soul care hours. Those are kind of like monthly community and slash mentorship calls. We go in on Zoom. They are not recorded because people do get vulnerable and share their experiences. So this is just a safe space where we can hold space and just talk each other through some stuff or just listen, right? If the person just needs someone to listen, we chat about life, we chat about what we're struggling with. I know, like, maybe someone's struggling to sleep. So we can chat some of the tools that we found helpful, things that they can take away from the call and try for themselves, see if that works. If not, we come back to the drawing board and we all kind of support each other so that we can navigate life with more grace and ease. So that's the monthly calls. I've been trying to do 1 during the day and 1 at night to accommodate different time zones. So that's what's going on in the Living on Lemonade Facebook community. We'd love to have you if you're not in there already. The link's always in the show notes. So anywho, I'm gonna pop off and head to the boat. We're gonna go fishing tomorrow, hopefully some salmon fishing. Haven't done that on Lake Huron yet. I'm super excited. I hope all is well your way, and we will see you inside the next episode. Bye, everyone.